There it goes. All right, welcome everybody. It's the Konflux community call. Today is July 29th. We got 2 points on the agenda and it's posted in the usual place. Mikola, you're up first, talking about Tecton Catalog.
Yeah, thank you, Rolf. So I have, I think, a quick topic to discuss. So as you all know, we are going to get rid of build definitions and move all the tasks and pipelines into dedicated repos. But the question is where the resulting bundles should be, because before that, when build definitions were not deprecated, we were everything under Konflux CI query organization, all the bundles. But with this move, we don't have any definition like to store the bundles, and so force every team to use the previous location for the bundles, Konflux CI, Tecton Catalog in Quai, or whether we would need to anything. So personally, I keep the old location because it's official Quai repo for the bundle, so we shouldn't move anywhere from it. But maybe someone else have different opinion. Yeah.
I'll jump on it. So like maybe there are multiple versions of the question, Mikola. Like there's like our existing tasks and build definitions. Do we want to migrate them all to kind of the same location with one? But then like a second part of the question is, imagine a new task is created by somebody who hasn't contributed to build definitions before, but they haven't connected with like the central community, but they want to publish their own task. Should we allow Conforma to trust their acceptable bundles list and their task if it's coming from somewhere else? It's coming from quay.io/their community, whatever. And like, I think in principle that should be allowed. Like we shouldn't like require Conforma to only trust things that come from one location or one organization. But I think I agree with you that like our existing tasks, we should like keep under the same heading because it just kind of keeps some cohesion. And
yeah. So sorry for not being clear enough in the original statement. So yeah, I was talking about standard tasks bundles provided by Konflux by default. So definitely users should be able to create own task, and Conforma should be able to accept them if user like configures that this is trusted. That's it. Story, and it's a valid use case. We need to support it. But yeah, my question was about tasks. Thank you, Ralph.
Yeah.
Okay, any other thoughts?
Any of the groups that are migrating things out of build definitions, integration, I guess release, you don't have any?
According to the feature itself, like many teams have migrated, but yeah, build team has a lot of stuff there, and we are just starting and smooth, so it's like would take a little bit more.
Yeah. Do we have any tasks that have already migrated, who have migrated to a location that is like outside of that Tecton catalog path?
Sorry, Ralph, could you repeat, please? I had a network glitch.
The question is do we have any tasks that have already migrated out of build definitions, but which have migrated their bundles to a new location in Quay that's not a part of that Quay.io Tecton catalog?
Well, aware of such cases. Like when we were discussing this arose do and how we should handle that. So I decided that it's a good topic to bring here. Okay, then thank you. Thank you all. I guess that's it for my topic.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Mikola. Next up, Eric, are you ready to talk about public Slack?
I guess I am. Do we have Brian on the call?
Let me look and see.
We do.
Hey.
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, so for it's going to be the information might sound like we're repeating ourselves because some people already were part of an internal Slack discussion. But for those who weren't part of it, when we still had this community outreach SIG a couple of weeks ago, until we decided that we would join that meeting instance with this one, Brian and I talked about what other channels or what other ways we could, reach a community and build a community around a project. And the obvious thing is, okay, so we have a mailing list, but it's very common to have some instant messaging platform. So right now, obviously, we only have internal Slack, and this is where the idea came when Brian pitched it to me. He's like, okay, why don't we have a public Slack instance, or anything for that matter? It doesn't really need to be Slack, but it will be kind of consistent with what we use. And I just start the discussion there. How do we feel about this? The point is, again, like repeating some information from the internal Slack discussion that happened a few weeks ago. One of the main concerns where I think it was Louis who mentioned it, that they have a public Slack instance, but it's a ghost town, and no one apart from Red Hatters are in that group. But yeah, the main point here is that we would have to migrate most of our current Slack workflows minus the Konflux user support thing that we have to the public instance of Slack, and so that we can show some signs of liveness. Anything I missed, Brian, that you would like to add to that?
I guess I'll say we could move in stages, but I actually think that we should, I see Shai is here, so I will make his head explode, but I think we should consider moving our user support to public Slack. If we were to move our user support to public Slack, that would ensure that it is not a ghost town. We could just separate an ops channel to internal, right? We essentially, like, there are two kinds of issues. There's, I need help using Konflux. I don't know how to use it. Please help me. There's no reason that can't go to public Slack. It would be great to have it there. It would be great if a person dropped by from the community to see what was going on there. If there were 200 people there and there was active conversation, that would be amazing, right? There's a different question, which is, I'm trying to use this specific instance of Konflux and it's not working for me, or I need to get access to this thing. Like, those are more like operational issues, and yeah, we definitely don't want those in public Slack. But if we thought we could separate them, it would do a lot to bring aliveness to the external channel.
There's maybe raise my hand. There's maybe two criteria or reasons, scenarios. I don't know why you might want something to not be in public. One is that it's about a Red Hat specific instance of Konflux. And the other is if there's some details about the user team, the product team, the engineering team, and their situation that they wouldn't want to expose in a public Slack channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that, but I also feel like, open source being Red Hat's business, that most of our development teams are well versed in how to have a conversation upstream without giving away too much information. The main thing is that we need to educate them that they, but I think it would be clear. Anyway, I'm not saying there wouldn't be challenges, but I would see it as a great big advantage if we were able to bring our user community outside.
Mm-hmm. I think he did make Shai's head explode.
No, I'm thinking because I'm thinking for a while on changing some things, and it adds a bit more complexity, but it might be needed. So we need to plan it correctly. I don't think this is something that's going to be happening quickly or soon, but we can look into it.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, so in this specific on this specific matter of Konflux user support, this is where I think we could do it gradually. Like everything else, all the discussions could happen publicly already. So like prolonging the time until which we are ready to migrate to a public site completely, we might be adding new workflows along the way, which again are going to complicate the matter even more. But if we're talking just about like a bunch of channels where we interact, I don't see a huge challenge there where we could do this and just keep the workflow in on that specific channel that currently is used for user support, and keep that one internally, and we can figure out in the meantime what we're going to do with that. So the absolutely huge benefit is that whatever we discuss on the channel, even though with a public Slack instance, unless you pay, the history is going to be seriously or severely crippled. There is still some useful content that might help, any poor soul that would like to explore the depths of Konflux.
We're talking about it a little bit like it's a foregone conclusion that we're going to start a public chat platform, and like I guess I think it is. Like I support it, but like we should make space for if anybody thinks it's like a bad idea that we shouldn't have a presence in a public chat platform.
Absolutely. It's just that since I'm one of the proponents, then obviously I'm kind of biased that way.
You do, right?
But yeah, you're absolutely right, Rolf.
Like, let me finish my time with my hand up to say that when Brian, you pitched the GitOps and UI flow the other day, and there's a way like on this call where like a couple people will talk, and then there's a larger set of people who are kind of watching and bystanding, but maybe you don't feel like your comment's enough to raise your hand and speak up and take time. But the poll gave us a way to kind of quickly gauge the feeling of everybody else in the meeting. A poll around this could be good, and maybe that should go beyond this meeting, like something on the mailing list, to ask, do you feel like we should have a public chat platform or not? If you do, what platform do you think makes the most sense? I keep thinking about Slack, but people talk about Discord as another possible option. Matrix is yet another possible option. I bet those won't win out, but it doesn't matter. We should ask people if what the community thinks about what the best place to have their conversations be.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, I mean, second thoughts about moving the entire support to community channel or platform. If we are doing it gradually, we will have some time. We need to monitor both or jump from one platform to another to provide the support. So it's going to be like painful for the engineers on rotation, and it's really hard to say if it will take 2 weeks or 2 months or a year. I don't know yet how it will look, and of course it depends on which ways we'll go, which platform, etc. Also, the other thing. What was the other thing? Sorry. Yeah, I don't slipped my mind. So Brian, you can go ahead.
I guess in response to your question about a poll, or if there's anybody who thinks it's a bad idea, Ralph, I think it's a bad idea if we will create a chat and there won't be anyone there. I think it would be worse looking for the community to have a chat with no one there than no chat at all. I'd rather just keep the mailing list. So unless we have a plan for getting people to be there and having it be active, we shouldn't do it. So I think that what we ought to do is identify some people who want to go research the different platforms, because another thing about the platform choice you brought up is if we want to move user support there, we need to be able to support the kinds of workflows that they use. Having too many people not in Red Hat asking for help through our support workflow, forum would be a great problem to have. I'll deal with that later, right? But we can't just say like, we're going to use Matrix if like Matrix doesn't provide the kind of workflow that we're using. And we need to keep in mind things like if it costs money and how long it's going to keep history for and stuff like that. So a small task force to kind of go research this and bring some proposals back might be better before we start making decisions. You're on mute.
You're on mute, yeah.
Thanks, guys. Let's start with a pulse poll because it's cheap and easy rather than going to research capabilities. Like, I bet we're going to come back. We all know Slack, right? And use Slack a lot. And if a minority comes and says, I'd like Discord, we could just say, sorry, community majority is heading in this direction. We can move on from there. And if it's contentious, if it's 50-50, then we can go do research and make a more deliberate, informed decision. Adam.
Yeah, and I love what you were saying, Brian, about an empty room being the worst possible outcome. And it got me thinking. I was like, what are we moving in terms of channels to public if we do it, right? We talked user support. What about the forum, Konflux, team channels? Are we including that and saying those go public?
And I think those are the primary things that move. Like if nothing moves, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Those should be the first and main things that move. It's kind of team life channels. Just yesterday, I was starting a thread in the Conforma channel asking about what were we talking about? I got the acronym wrong. We were talking about OMPL, policy engine, and some other things, and like that would be the perfect thing. There's nothing about that needed to happen in private. It all could have been in the open, and those things first and foremost.
Awesome. All right, perfect. So I'm glad we're talking about that because that prevents the nobody there talking, right? That will always be active. It'll always be it'll seem exciting to anyone from the outside looking in. But you had I have one other comment, but if you want to finish your thought, Ralph.
I was going to say that part of it has got to be like disciplining ourselves, like culturally, all of our teams, you got to stop talking in the Red Hat Slack for most of those places. It's not enough to just open up the new channel and say, we're going to talk here. When people ping you in the old channel or in other ways, you need to say, sorry, let's have this conversation up between and redirect people. There'll be a little bit of friction for a while we have to do that redirect energy, but eventually it'll become the new habit to talk about everything in the public platform. Yeah.
We're already fighting that friction. We're fighting that friction with private team channels to forum channels. So it exasperates that a little bit. But okay, my other topic was moving Konflux user support. We have an AI bot that costs money per response, right? I don't know what the dollars are, but a bad actor can just spam this thing, right? Is that something that we need to plan for, and is that going to make this even more challenging?
But AI bot probably also includes internal information. So you're scraping internal docs with it, I think.
Yeah, that's yet another problem there. We can, with Slack, we would have the ability to, people have to be invited, with an accept link that we can make public, but I think, I don't know exactly how, but I think that gives us the ability to uninvite people if it comes to it. So, but that, Adam, it is a problem. So
right. We would have to have some process to remove bad actors. It just got me thinking that maybe, the full-blown user support that we offer internally isn't what we offer externally. Brian, you touched on it, right? It would just be it's more vanilla, how does Konflux work? And it's just a different form of support rather than the full-blown support model. That seems workable, but it also splits Shai's team in half. or gives them additional responsibilities.
Well-
I'd be interested to see how the full blown support model can work publicly. I think that's
Like Ralph said, we can move the sort of team channels first, and we can think about whether to move the support workflow. But I mean, I guess my point, I'll say it again, was like, yeah, I know that if we had people in there asking a bunch of questions who worked for somebody else, it would consume resources from Shai's team, and it might consume resources from our AI bot and whatever. But that, I would love to have that problem. We will have to solve that problem, but I would love to have that problem.
Yeah, well said. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Heavy agreement with Brian. So like it would be an amazing problem. Then again, we don't really need to solve this ASAP. The problem with the AI bot is that, like it was already said, it consumes resources, in this case money, and it's going to take time before we'd be able to host something publicly with reasonable, let's call it minutes, credits, whatever, or number of tokens that we could use. But maybe we could emphasize what we're already trying to do for the current AI bot we have internally, and that's making the Konflux docs, both external or the public one and internal, first, and treat them as first-class citizens, so that we could then on the public channels point people or out external people, not red hatters, and we could point them to the docs and say, hey, we are trying to add as many user stories to the public docs as possible, which are results of various support tickets that we faced. If you pay for your own AI, or just are fine with the public ones, the free, the ones which provide you with free tokens, just feed the docs in there as context and try asking a question. That could be something that should work in the meantime. Again, with community is always best effort. One cannot expect that Red Hat is going to be investing all the resources there are, to be the only one funding the whole effort. So I would not expect anything more other than best effort. For the general communication, absolutely, let's do that. But with anything that requires automation and multiple tools being connected, let's keep that internal for as long as we can, and we can figure out the rest along the way.
Brian asked a question in sidebar. Maybe we can just take it up in sidebar. For the rest of this conversation, though, what are our next steps?
I guess we've got 18 people here. We don't need a decision right now. We can get back to the question next week. It's a big topic that requires folks to think about it. Like, to me, it might sound very easy, but it might turn out, being very complicated. And who, takes upon the effort to set up the public Slack, and yada yada. I already sent out an email to the Konflux mailing list last week, so we can continue there. I mean, think about it, and if you can think of some potential problems, challenges that we'll have to face, that just didn't occur to you right now during the meeting, feel free to respond to that thread and keep the topic alive. And it would be great if we could make that decision by the end of the quarter, for example, just to make sure that we are making some progress on the topic, or we are able to make a decision. Doesn't have to be today, right?
I see representatives from all but I think one of the core teams that contribute to Konflux at Red Hat. Do you want to take a quick poll, Ralph, about whether those people would be in favor of moving their team communications to a shared external chat instance of some sort.
I'm okay with that. Eric, are you okay with that if we take a poll now, or would you rather defer and have a little bit more conversation first before we poll?
No, we can do the
Not a
poll now.
decision. It's just a getting a feeling.
Yeah.
When you take a poll, you see the numbers, and so it can influence the way people talk and think about it. That's why I was asking, but I'd like to do a poll too. But I see Johnny's hand. Johnny.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't really know how to vote for that, because I mean, yes, we have a release pipeline that pushes to query repos and does nothing else. I've never once seen a user use it, so every question we get is internal. So I don't know how to say would I be willing to move everything external, because I mean I don't want to make. I mean, this is a public call. I don't want to go in details of what's internal or not, but pretty much every question we get is an internal question.
I think what we're maybe there's no difference, but like, do you have a separate place that you discuss development on the release service with the release team than where you take user question?
Yes, we do.
That's the channel we're talking about moving.
Okay, gotcha.
I would like I just would like to add one thing. This is not going to be for free. There is going to be quite some mental exercise involved for everyone. Whoever's not been involved in many open source projects in the past, like we have a lot of engineers like that. It is, and specifically also with users, it's not going to be easy to differentiate between, what kind of information can be shared where. This is not something that can be easily prevented with anything. It's just going to be a mental exercise that we have to vouch for and advocate for with everyone involved. Just like with Bugzilla, if you share internal information, that kind of information should have been marked as private. It's the same thing with Jira, that works for RHEL. So if other teams could successfully execute that, I don't see why we could not. But yeah, it's not going to be exactly an easy road towards that goal.
Mm-hmm. I just launched the poll. You should see it in sidebar. Give it another minute. I've got 11 responses so far. I've got 18 people on the call. So if you're one of those, I can't do the math. 7 people. All right, I'm going to show results. So just to read it out, there's 10 people indicating, yeah, they're in favor, 2 no, and 2 abstain for whatever reason. And anyway, so that gives some feel about it. We won't rush into this like Eric was talking about. Take time to sort out the issues, especially if you are concerned about it and you anticipate problems like Eric was saying with that. Responding on the mailing list thread is probably the best way.
Yes, exactly. So try to think about how to formulate this properly, because whatever the reason is that you said no or abstained from the poll, it is vital information for us to consider.
Or if you voted no because of a reason you don't want to share externally, then you can start a thread on Konflux developer.
Or continue the one we already have.
Yeah, there you go. Either way, we want to hear it.
Okay, I guess that wraps up the topic that I had with Brian. So thank you.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Before we part, anybody have any topics for open floor? Arbitrary, random things you want to share or talk about with the group? If no, not today, then we'll see you next time. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Good discussion today.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.